The moment she leaned over our aisle and said, "You two need to move," I knew this flight was about to go sideways. It was our anniversary. Our seats were perfect, carefully chosen, and she was already agitated before we even exchanged a word. Her voice carried enough to reach half the cabin, and I watched the smile on my wife's face slowly fade. That was the instant I realized this wasn't just about seats. It was about control. We had boarded early, hand in hand, still laughing about how we almost missed the gate after snapping a few anniversary photos at the airport. It wasn't a milestone year, but it mattered to us. This trip had been planned for months, our seats booked well in advance. And yes, we splurged a little to ensure we'd sit together without strangers crammed in between us. Window and middle, perfect view, perfect mood. Or so I thought. As we settled, my wife tucked her bag under the seat and squeezed my hand, whispering something soft, one of those quiet words couples share when they feel safe and excited. That's when I felt a shadow hover over us. I looked up, expecting a flight attendant. Instead, it was her. Short haircut, tight smile, eyes sharp, calculating. The kind of look that says she's already decided she's right before even speaking. She didn't say hello or ask politely. She pointed at my wife's seat as if it personally offended her and said, "You need to switch with me. I'm not sitting back there." I blinked, thinking maybe I misheard. People swap seats all the time. Families, couples, emergencies. I get it, but this wasn't a request. It was a demand. My wife looked up, confused but calm. "I'm sorry. Which seat are you in?" The woman scoffed, actually scoffed. "That doesn't matter. Couples don't need to sit together." "I do." A few passengers turned to look, the attention in the cabin subtly shifting toward us. I felt my jaw tighten, but my wife stayed polite. She explained gently, smiling in an attempt to diffuse attention. That was our anniversary, and that we'd paid extra to sit together. That's when the woman's tone shifted. "Oh, please," she said, rolling her eyes. "Everyone has an anniversary. You're not special. Move." That word, move, hit harder than I expected. Not just rude, dismissive, like we were obstacles, not people. I opened my mouth to respond, but she cut me off before I could speak. "I already talked to the gate agent," she lied without hesitation. My wife's hand tightened around mine. I could feel her breathing shift, that subtle change when someone goes from excited to uncomfortable. I hated that the stranger was doing this to her on what was supposed to be a happy day. I spoke calmly. "We're not moving. If there's an issue, you can speak to a flight attendant." That should have ended it. It didn't. She leaned closer, invading our space, lowering her voice just enough to make it sound threatening. "You don't want to make a scene. People like you always regret it." Something snapped, not in anger, but in clarity. This wasn't about seats. This was about power. She wanted us embarrassed, flustered, folded. Judging by the way she glanced around, checking who was watching, she thrived on attention. Passengers were fully tuned in. A man across the aisle shook his head. Someone behind us whispered, "Unbelievable." Still, no flight attendant had arrived. She clearly thought she was winning. Then my wife surprised me. Instead of shrinking back, she sat up straighter, calm and composed. Her voice didn't tremble when she said, "We're not moving. Please step away." For a split second, the woman looked stunned, as if she hadn't expected resistance. Then her lips curled into a thin smile, the kind that promises trouble. "Fine," she said loudly, "but don't cry when this backfires." She marched down the aisle, muttering about entitlement and disrespect so everyone could hear. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from the sheer unfairness of it all. This was supposed to be a simple flight. Instead, it felt like the opening act of something bigger. As the plane doors closed and the engines hummed to life, I had no idea how badly she had misjudged us, or how quickly karma was lining up its shot. The tension didn't vanish when she walked away. If anything, it thickened the air. My wife exhaled slowly, trying to calm herself, but I could feel the anger simmering beneath her calm. This was supposed to be our celebration, not a public confrontation. Yet somehow, that woman had turned our row into a stage. A few minutes passed. The seatbelt sign was still off. Passengers settled in, Overhead bins clicked shut. I thought maybe that was it. I was wrong. She came back. This time, not alone. A flight attendant trailed behind her, wearing the most exaggerated look of distress I'd ever seen. Slumped shoulders, tight mouth, pretending victimhood. The moment she reached our row, she pointed again, specifically at my wife. "They refused," she announced loudly. "They're being aggressive." Aggressive? I almost laughed at the absurdity. The flight attendant looked confused, eyes flicking between us and her. My wife spoke first, still calm, still steady. Respectfully, my wife explained exactly what had happened, how we were seated together, how we had paid for these seats, and how this woman had demanded we move without even asking politely. The flight attendant started to respond, listening carefully, but the woman cut her off immediately. "That's not what happened," she snapped. "They were rude from the start. I told them I have anxiety and can't sit where I was assigned." That was new information, and I saw the flight attendant's eyebrows lift slightly. She knew it, too. "I just want what's fair," the woman continued, her voice rising. "I shouldn't be punished because they want to play a happy couple." My wife's face shifted, not with tears, but with disbelief. "We're not playing," she said quietly. "It's our anniversary." That word seemed to irritate the woman more than anything. "Oh my God! Enough of the anniversary," she scoffed. "You keep saying it like it gives you special privileges." Around us, murmurs started. Passengers were openly watching now. A woman across the aisle leaned forward, clearly invested. A man a few rows back muttered something about entitlement. The woman noticed. She always noticed. And instead of backing down, she leaned into it. "So, you're refusing to cooperate?" she asked the flight attendant, gesturing dramatically at us. The attendant paused, checked boarding passes, confirmed our seat numbers, and nodded. "These are their assigned seats," she said carefully. That should have ended it. It didn't. The woman's face hardened. "So that's it?" she demanded. "You're just letting them bully me?" That word, bully, was clearly part of her script, and she stuck to it, no matter how nonsensical. She crossed her arms, ensuring everyone around could hear. "This is unbelievable. Every time couples think they own the plane." My wife looked at me, eyes questioning. "Do we escalate?" I squeezed her hand gently, silently urging calm. But inside, my patience was fraying. The flight attendant asked the woman politely but firmly to return to her seat. "I'm not moving," the woman said, loud and clear. "Not until they do." The cabin went quiet, the heavy silence where everyone pretends not to stare while staring anyway. The attendant's tone sharpened slightly, repeating the instruction. Still, the woman refused, planting herself beside our row like she owned the space. Then she turned to my wife and smiled, not friendly but cold. "Hope this was worth it," she whispered loud enough for us to hear. My wife straightened, her calm now deliberate, controlled. She reached into her bag slowly. For a split second, I thought she might pull out her phone. The woman noticed and rolled her eyes. "Go ahead, record me," she muttered. But my wife didn't. Instead, she held out something else. The flight attendant noticed immediately, pausing mid-sentence. The woman was too busy shaking her head, convinced she still had control. That confidence lasted exactly 2 seconds. My wife didn't raise her voice, didn't smirk. She simply held the badge steady. Not flashy, but unmistakable. The flight attendant's eyes widened for a fraction of a second, then snapped back up, expression firm and authoritative. The woman noticed before she understood it. "What is that?" she demanded defensively. "Ma'am," the attendant said, her tone professional, calm but sharp. "Step back to your seat immediately." The woman laughed. "Oh, come on. A badge? Anyone can buy those online." "This isn't one of those," my wife said calmly, flipping it open to reveal the second identifier. The color drained from the woman's face. Recognition, respect, unmistakable. The attendant nodded once sharply, then turned to the woman. "Return to your assigned seat now. This is your final warning," she repeated. The woman's confidence cracked. "What?" "Why, I haven't done anything." The attendant didn't raise her voice. Somehow it made her words even more powerful. You have repeatedly harassed passengers, ignored crew instructions, and disrupted boarding. If you do not comply, you will be removed from this flight. Removed. The word landed. The woman searched for sympathy, support, backup. Found none. Curious faces were now openly annoyed. A man across the aisle shook his head. Someone behind us muttered, "About time." But the woman started pointing at my wife again. The attendant stepped slightly in front of her, blocking the gesture entirely. Enough. Seat now. The silence that followed was deafening. Slowly, stiffly, the woman backed away, her face flushed, not with anger, but humiliation. She didn't speak another word as she walked back down the aisle, each step heavy with the realization that she'd lost. Not just the argument, but the audience she thought she commanded. Once she was seated, the attendant turned to us, voice softened. "I'm very sorry about that. Thank you for your patience." My wife nodded, slipping the badge back into her bag as if nothing extraordinary had happened. My heart was still pounding. Minutes later, another attendant approached, leaning in slightly. "Sir, ma'am," she said quietly, "we'd like to move you to better seats to ensure your comfort for the rest of the flight." I blinked. "You don't have to. We insist," she added with a warm smile. "And happy anniversary." As we gathered our things and moved forward, I glanced back once. The woman sat frozen, jaw clenched, refusing to meet anyone's gaze. The same person who had tried to humiliate us now looked smaller than ever. In our new seats, my wife finally exhaled. She laughed softly, leaning on my shoulder. "Well," she said, "that escalated." I laughed, too, not triumphantly, but with relief. Justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it arrives quietly, leaving a lesson behind. She wanted power. She wanted control. Instead, she got karma at 30,000 feet. If you enjoyed this story, hit the subscribe button. Every subscription helps me bring more dramatic HOA stories. Don't forget the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. Next story? Justice gets even sweeter.